Don't have to be so hard
When
on
you're
yourself.
losing, pull out the Hero League strats. It was the
Exactly.
support's fault. Yeah.
Where was the ancestral? Dude, I'm in Bloodlust. I don't care. Where's my ancestral?
All right, guys, it's time to go to Infernal Shrines. Let's get this draft started. So, first pick will be going to the Playing Ducks, which means they get the first ban. The Playing Ducks, again, we're ready to see if they'll be showing up today. In particular, I'm looking at Crisplosion. I feel like he had a bit of a poor performance against Beginus in particular. He got picked off a lot, especially on that Anubrek.
Oh, yeah.
So today I'm hoping to see him on more tanky characters.
He had a rough time against Beginus, especially on the game on Dragonshire that we saw. They picked him off left and right. He was always the primary target for them, but now this is a different series, this is a different game. Also keep in mind, we are on the Genji patch right now. Genji himself is not allowed, the hero is still too new, but we have, of course, now the changes to Uther. We have Cassia in the meta. This is something that could influence this series as well. We're starting off with the Ducks already trying to immediately cut Synergy off by the knees, saying, your double support, that's not going to be a thing in this game.
Double support. Ariel be taken away there. So Synergy now thinking about their ban. Tassadar has been played by the Playing Ducks occasionally, but Tassadar also has been falling off a little bit more. It's more about the Lucio getting rid of. These compositions that are more sustained-based are really becoming more prevalent.
Medivh is a hero that I'm looking forward to being either picked or banned, and Synergy bans him out. When we're talking about the Ducks, the one thing that for me personally is the linchpin is Sport Billy. Ban out is Medivh on the Medivh maps. Make sure that you get rid of the Zeratul or at least get a counter, maybe with a variant that can counter Zeratul quite easily if you have at least the inkling that there could be a Zeratul play on the side of Sport Billy, because he's just been setting up a lot of the fights for his team in all of the series in the second phase right now. Another hero that he oftentimes plays on this map in particular is Falstad. That's what we usually see him on when Medivh is banned out, so I'm curious if the Ducks are going to prioritize Falstad here. Normally what we would expect, there are also, of course, strong heroes that can really take position on the shrines, like in Arthas.
And I do wonder if we're going to have Vala be taken from the Playing Ducks here. Playing Ducks do run a lot of good Vala themselves, but it's mostly because Synergy. Neon, when he's on that Vala, he looks like a different player overall. Playing Ducks will move into Gul'dan, who is one of the primary pickups that you want to grab on this battleground to help clear out the shrines. Synergy will now get their choices.
Also, Chris is just amazing on Gul'dan, and the horrifies that he can throw out are absolutely top-notch. So that is something that the Ducks already have in their arsenal. And Synergy in the past had actually huge problems with good horrifies. That was one of the problems they faced whenever they went in a bit too deep, and they are known to do that. So they ended up banning out Gul'dan in a lot of the cases. I definitely think it's one of the heroes that they were thinking about when they finally decided to ban out Medivh instead. But now, them starting off, you're right, Vala is one thought that we have here for sure with Synergy. They love to play these hyper carry Valas on Neon. And yeah, I want to see if they change that draft entirely today, because I wouldn't put that past them after what happened yesterday.
I would love to see a little bit more map control from them. I feel like they pick these compositions that are good in terms of control in the fight, and they get them in the team fights, can start the initiations, but they play less map control than a lot of teams. And we have the Greymane, which is, we're starting to see that more from Synergy. It seems they understand, okay, we've been playing a ton of ball the last couple of weeks. It's all we really pull off with. Let's move into a Greymane and start to get that. And they did all right on it yesterday.
Greymane and Uberag is definitely a good opening for them. Having Greymane as a finisher and also with a poke on the Shrine is definitely great for them. He can also take those minions apart quite easily. And you have the Anubarak, which is good against Gul'dan in general. You have a lot of dive and control over these fights, so that's cool. You can run him, of course, with a Locust Swarm, or if you have a double front line, you can also simply go straight into a Cocoon, depending on what your opponent picks. If you identify a specific threat to your composition, you can simply move in with a Cocoon and force the team fight. So we're going to find out later on what they can pull off here, depending on if they go for a second warrior or not. The Ducks, on the other hand, Gul'dan taken. For me personally, the question still is, what are we going to see Sport Billy on?
That is definitely the question. Falstad is still floating around. They can always go the global route. There's also Zarya, which we see him play on often. However, I prefer to see him on his Falstad.
Falstad, the Haka is open. We could also... What are we going to see on the front line? We talked about the Anubarak for Crisplosion. Are they falling back into that Johanna style that he oftentimes played? Sonya, first of all, and Malfurion now taken. So Sonya, again, for the Shrine control. She is starting to... I don't really want to say she's starting to come back. She's been back for quite a while, but she is gaining a bit more priority on a lot of the games that we've seen, especially on Infernal Shrines. Of course, she gets extra value thanks to the position she can take on the Shrines themselves. Anubarak needs to make sure that he gets the stuns in against her once the Whirlwind starts, so that's one of the things to watch out for. And now with the bans, it looks like Synergy is actually a bit afraid of the Tyrael. I would be surprised to see a Tyrael ban. Tassadar I could understand way more.
I'd be a little bit more scared of the Muradin, too. Just because we see that from Crisplosion in particular. His Muradin or his Johanna are the thoughts that I'm thinking about for this battleground. You get the wave clear that you would like. The Murden allows him to be a bit more aggressive and set up his team fights.
Yeah, no, the Ducks have played Tyrell in the past, don't get me wrong, but normally when we've seen them play Tyrell against Team Liquid, and one of the ideas that they had is counter a no-cleanse comp by diving in hard with Judgment and a double Zeratul back then. So having the Abathur copy on a Zeratul, that doesn't happen here. I don't see playing Ducks going for any kind of composition that poses the same threat to them. So even if Synergy in the back of their head now thinks about going for a no-cleanse support, I don't think they need to go for a Tyrael ban. And they actually ban out Arthas instead, which I personally think is a great choice, since Arthas on the Shrine is fantastic. And then you have also Sonya. I could have seen them pick up Arthas, though. I could have seen them just simply saying, listen, we have an Uberrock already. We ban out something else right now, and we take Arthas for ourselves.
Now the playing Ducks can think about the banning of the Tyrael, though, because Grey may be on the opposing side. So while it may be odd for Synergy to bring out that Tyrael ban, the playing Ducks definitely have the option, gives them the die potential they already have here with the Nubrak and Greymane. So we'll see what the Ducks do get rid of. Other options to ban out? Wow, they are just going to get rid of the Sylvanas here. I'm going to leave it up and available. Obviously, we know what Sylvanas can do on this battleground. I feel like the Ducks have a good way of dealing with her already. With Sonya and Gul'dan, they have a decent way to engage. They have Gul'dan poke, which is great against Sylvanas. If you hit 2 or Qs, suddenly Sylvanas can be at half health, and the healers have to put a lot of resources into her. However, the Ducks say, we don't want to deal with the pressure at all, and ban it out.
Yeah. And now with Synergy, you are talking about Tyrell. He would be an option for Synergy for sure. We are still lacking a healer. Now, with them already thinking about banning out maybe the Tyrell, you could see a no-cleanse hero. Lucio is still around, so you can still take him. Well, Fury has been taken by the opponent. We have to keep in mind with that Synergy is a team that really loves to play very aggressive. Aggressive supports in the sense that you want to have extra playmaking abilities on the supports, and Zefka usually plays the role. Yeah. Oftentimes we see him on the Oriel, especially when we're talking about Infernal Shrines and Tomb of the Spider Queen. He loves Oriel plays because he gets more value out of his detainment strikes. She has been banned out already, so they go into the Lucio. It is the no-cleanse that we expected after them thinking about a Tyrael ban, and we have the Haka for more Shrine control, experience on the offlane, and of course the gank potential that he offers.
Yeah, so far, Synergy actually has a really solid composition to get the engage. They have the flame with the Dahaka. They have the soaking available for them. The Ducks now can really round out their composition. I would love to see the Johanna here. Still thinking about it. Just a great engage, great shrine control.
Johanna, Falstad maybe even. I could still see that for them. Yeah. It's just something that the Ducks tend to do here. The Falstad is one of their priority picks if Medivh is banned out.
There's always a Tychus option too. We have seen Sport Blade pick it up a couple of times.
Yeah.
It's even pretty good against a Nubrak Dahaka. If you can burn down the Nubrak and Dahaka's late on that flank, suddenly it's one solo tank in a back spot that could get picked off pretty easily, especially with Horrify being available. So it's all what the Ducks want to move into. I like Tychus even a little bit more for the Shrine Control, but I like Falstad for the deny of Dahaka. Yeah.
The Shrine Control is definitely one of the assets that Tychus would bring here. Falstad is more so the disengage and the potential to force an engage, and there is Falstad again. So kind of what we expected here. It makes them, I want to say, a bit predictable at times. When you go up against the playing Ducks, you pretty much know the heroes that Sport Billy shines on.
Yeah.
And it's not like he's horrible with other heroes, but it's really the heroes that have the biggest impact for them.
Yeah, they need playmaking moments.
Yeah, when we saw him on Vala, for example, he didn't play a bad Vala by any means, but he didn't have the same opportunities to set up big fights for his teammates as he had on other heroes, and then they struggled a little bit more. So now we're going to expect Falstad again being played by Sport Billy. Last pick on the side of Synergy. Question still remains, are they going to put Neon on Vala again? Is he going to shift over? So let's see what Synergy is going to take to round this out.
If we go for another auto attacker, you have to be careful around that variant. In fact, you may have to ignore him at some point to try to get that back line, which they do have a Nubrak and Dahaka for, and even Lucio to speed boost through. So wouldn't mind seeing Greymane Vala. Maybe even a Mage could be great here. I mean, typically I don't ask for a Li Ming, but when you have Greymane dive, it could be possible on Shrines. It's going to be the Tychus.
Okay, so they go for the Tychus here. Same argument we made for Tychus on their side than for the playing Ducks. You have good control over the Shrine, you have a little bit more AoE available to you, and usually dropping the Odin at the start or in the middle of a Shrine battle is the end of the discussion.
Yeah.
Unless he gets jumped right away, you don't really want to attack into an Odin. A lot of teams have been doing this in the past, that they get a bit ahead thanks to positional advantages in the minion count, and then once the opponent approaches, they simply just drop Odin and they say, yeah, you get the hell out of here because we have Odin now, and you can't engage into us without losing heroes.
Yeah, they have to decide to go in for the fight or just go for the soak, or even, at this point, a False Stand Mighty Gust just to stop it. But it's a 22-second duration that you have that Odin available. It's 24 seconds overall, but 2 seconds is the animation actually coming in and popping into the Odin form. So, all right, we'll see how this will work out here. Infernal Shrines, if you just look at the draft, I think the Ducks actually have much better shrine control. Besides from the Odin coming in there at the bottom there for synergy, but in terms of actually dealing with tanks, once Falset hits 13, he has a Giant Killer available. Dahaka and Nubrak have to be very careful with their engagements.
They have to be careful with the engagements, but overall I still like what Synergy has drafted here. I'm a bit skeptical after yesterday.
Yeah, sure.
I've been talking to them, and they said, yeah, we just feel way more confident in this game here today, and we are making sure that we're going to kill it because we don't want to go out of the season with only beating B-Genius. We know that we still have a chance in theory to get out of the Crucible. So I'm curious what they can pull off today. But yesterday's games were so off at times that I'm really curious, can they improve communication from one day to the other that drastically? Was yesterday just an off day, and today they show up in better form? Then again, the playing Ducks losing against B-Genius, we just heard them talk in the video about that. They have to redeem themselves today. They have the tools that they usually use for that. I think this could be a really exciting game now.
Yeah, and especially with the coordination that you have to think about here with Synergy, they have a Lucio, again, against a Varian, against a Mighty Gust Falset, it will horrify. Even a Sonya Ancient Spear. Any hard engage could be devastating for Synergy if Lucio is not on point or even overstepping. Let's actually get ready here. Game number 1, Infernal Shrines. This is a best-of-5 series. Let's do it here. Synergy and the Playing Ducks.
Synergy versus the Playing Ducks today, and our first map is Infernal Shrines in the best-of-5 series. To the left side, we have the Russian team with Sir Ice Cream on Tychus, Dehaka played by Hydra, Power of Dreams on Anubarak, Sevkashev on Lucio, and Neon on Greymane.
To the right in the red, the Ducks hoping to soar today. Wolf Joe on the Malfurion, and watch out for him, dude. He has some solid Twilight Dreams every time he gets a chance. Chris Explosion will be playing the Variant. Sport Billy back on his trademark Falstad. We're going to have Chris himself on Gold Dan, and last but not least, Nande on Sonya.
So of course we're going to see again the parry build on Varian and him going for the taunt later on. One of the advantages that they definitely have is that we do not see any kind of cleanse on the side of Synergy. But usually when you're playing a Varian, the cleanse or the support doesn't really want to throw that out for every single taunt, since the cooldown disparity is just so huge. You have a 12-second cooldown on the taunt, you have 60 seconds on cleanse. So this is a battle that Varian will always win.
Gonna have a rotation in the middle. Dahaka will make his way to the top there to deal with Sonya and the pressure, and the game has begun. We're gonna keep an eye on Sport Billy here, see how his rotations occur. If there are aggressive plays available for the Ducks, if Falset flies in, especially when a root comes out. But overall, I expect them to play pretty safe and just clear out their lanes. They have such a great lane clear composition with that Gold Dan that really it's on Synergy to try and get a pick.
Yeah, also we have Power of Dreams really anchoring the entire composition that we have for Synergy, making sure that there can no secret rotation be happening to the side to get maybe an early kill against someone like Lucio or Tychus. The rotation for Synergy is looking quite strong so far. We have up to the top lane Sonya dealing with Dehaka, and once again engagement here on Chris. He just gets away, but Ice Cream was already delivering quite a punch here, so Chris is quite low. Synergy definitely coming out with a very aggressive stance on the battleground.
One does have to wonder if whether or not that could have actually been a kill there for Synergy. That grenade came out earlier, and then Gilnane just walks around and brings out that cocktail from Greymane. Regardless, Chris does survive. And Synergy staying together, but you are correct. They seem to be a bit more aggressive here. They're looking for their trademark gameplay, and while they haven't got a kill, it's refreshing to see. Yesterday, they just seemed lost. Today, they seem to be on a path of victory.
Yeah, but at the same time, I also have to state that Varian is struggling a little bit this early in the game.
Yeah.
Usually with Varian, if you're running him as one of the main frontliners or the main tank, you want to at least pick up the level 4 talent that helps you to prevent the damage with your parry. So you don't really want to drop too low at the beginning of the game. But now we have the first shrine starting, and I think Playing Ducks already realized early on that for the first few shrines they would struggle a little bit more, which is one of the reasons why they banned out Sylvanas here, because that would enable Synergy to snowball. But in this game now, Sylvanas not being an issue. We have both of the teams fighting straight for the first shrine.
Falset flies in, they're putting pressure on Power. He gets low on health. Sport Billy still has to use a barrel roll. Does not chase a kill. 18 to 12 in terms of trying control. Gold Dan and Sonya really helping out to close that gap that Synergy already has. Hydra on the right side has not used a drag yet. Let's see if they go for the moment. Synergy is starting to give up position.
Synergy went for the well, was starting to tap, and now Greymin is about to come back to a slight lead in minions on the side of the Ducks. They want the Punisher, of course, but we have Synergy moving in once again, going for the triple stun, the knock-up here with a Nubarak, jumping into the backline for Chris and Wolfjo, not getting the kills. One more minion, and Playing Ducks will take control of the Punisher, and they are able to set it up.
Solid control from the Ducks, realizing that Synergy was going in for the engage. With them having a lead, they had fall sets on the bottom side, clear out the rest of the minions, and no one dies. And they'll be rewarded an early shrine here. Gonna have the Punisher pushing in the middle.
Now keep in mind that also with Lucio and Tychus, we have the same synergy between the two of them, where you can use the bigger they are to just follow up the entire duration of the percentage damage thanks to the movement speed Lucio gives you. Punisher has been baited in, was taken out immediately because the Ducks split heroes to the top and the bottom lane. The early Punisher's not really having as much of an impact, and it goes as far as to some teams giving up the first, sometimes even the first two Punishers, because they simply say, we can get more value pushing lanes and structures down, while our opponent is not going to be as successful by using the Punisher, because the early Punishers are just too weak to make it happen.
Yeah, we've even seen delays where they'll get the Punisher down at 39, they'll just wait it out and rotate instead and have that as a threat for later on in case maybe they make a fault, someone gets picked off, a teammate can rotate up there to grab the Punisher just to make your opponent play safer for a little bit longer. So Punisher control, definitely a thing here on these battlegrounds. Now, Synergy is getting close to level 7, which will be helpful, especially with Dahaka getting nice and set up in terms of his level 4 talent, having the ability to rotate in and bring out the S and to go for engage. If Chris or Wolfjo ever overstep, watch out for an aggressive play.
Also, a bit of an adjustment on the side of Falstad. He could have gone into a pure auto attack build with a level 4 talent, but instead we're seeing the static shield right now. So the idea here being that if Dahaka flanks or if Greymane jumps in, he has a bit more of a safety net that he can use with his static shield so that he doesn't die that fast and allows Malfurion to help him out.
Nanda in the top right, as you can see, grabbing mercenary camps, doing what Sonya does best. Always great to grab those and get pressure on the top lane. There's a couple things you can do here. You can either wait it out, have it push top for the next shrine phase, or get aggressive after grabbing it. Playing Ducks will wait for the moment to grab the shrine, as this is a normal basic strategy. Now with the shrine activating, you should see it grabbed around the 5-second mark here, which will allow for it to push top lane, and you can have that tug of war there.
Yeah, and this is exactly when Synergy also caps their own camp, so the top lane is once again balanced. The problem, of course, is that the shrine itself is spawning up at the top, so both the teams should be able to de-push the camp here.
That they will. Falstad and Dahaka will continue the trend of soaking middle and bottom lane, trying to fight over a slight advantage. Dahaka usually will be the one that pulls the trigger first on the engage, and Falstad should be the one to follow up. We're going to watch as our teams now collide over the shrine phase. For now, Synergy has a slight lead.
Synergy finds himself in a bit of a better spot here with a level 7 at this point, but we have some sustain for the Ducks now with the Ferocious healing on Sonya, Static Shield as I mentioned it before, and the Boomerang to just allow more wave clear on the side of Falstad over the secret weapon as a potential auto attack damage boost. Right now, Sport Billy himself is in trouble though, but Wolfjo is ready with a heal. Needs to be careful since it's on cooldown now, and we have Dahaka still at the bottom, in the middle of the map, soaking experience. They are ahead, but they're starting to struggle a little bit with the control of the shrine itself.
Dahaka rotated in to help out here. Chris Explosion is low on health. Will the drag connect? Doesn't even need the drag. Neon dives in and kills him, but a Nubarak gets picked off on the retreat.
Nubarak might be down, but the problem for Playing Ducks is still that we have way too many minions for Synergy, so that the Ducks cannot contest this position anymore. Synergy takes the second Punisher and is very, very close to level 10. That could be a really big problem if those two towers are now taken out and Synergy uses the opportunity to dive in deep.
Especially with Dahaka. He's rotated in the middle lane to grab the experience wave. There's a full wave here. That should get them closer to that level 10 for them to go for the engage. Nande on the right side is baiting the Punisher back. 10 is here. Can we get an engage when a Nubarak shows up? Because remember, a Nubarak died earlier. He's on his way through the top lane.
He could go Cocoon here. They have two frontliners. He is still the main tank, so it would be safer to make him beefy with a Locust Swarm, and they do that. They had a chance to play this a bit more risky, but I like that they go for the more cautious option and go for the Locust Swarm. They have this beefy frontline here, with Dahaka being the one to look for the flank. But this early level 10 gave them a huge advantage going for this particular fort and nets them now an entire level in experience lead.
Yep, get an entire level here. They get a fort killed off, so they lead in infrastructure, and they rotate in the middle lane. Now, Chris Explosion is set up for a gank. He does have taunt available as they just hit level 10. The Ducks moving in. They go for power. The taunt comes out. Seth goes on the right side, trying to keep people at bay. power will be able to retreat, and we're going to have Synergy turn around and keep applying damage.
And just on a quick side note, we have Tranquility chosen for Malfurion, so they're really worried about the sustaining these fights, and Tranquility is of course going to help with exactly that. No Twilight Dream for them, so no option to just move in and go for a big silence, so a very big adjustment when we're talking about heroic abilities for playing Dux.
Tranquility will help them around the Shrine phase against Odin, it feels like, so I can see the thought process behind it. Can Synergy break through that Tranquility? That is the question. They do have Greymane, who brings down a lot of burst damage, and we just saw there, Neon.
Yeah, Neon going absolutely ham on the Sonya, taking her down, and Synergy is looking strong right now, an entire level lead still. They're starting to push the envelope even further, trying to aim for level 13 talent to get another advantage over the Dux for the next potential Shrine phase on the map here. Very different team so far from what we've seen yesterday.
I'm worried about the mentality for the playing Dux. After the loss for BGNS last Sunday, they are now playing at Synergy, who's the second worst team in the league due to standings. And they are kind of off-key here. They're not getting the engages they want. They're not quite picking off the picks. Now, it is game number 1, but I'm hoping that they're not sitting in this match right now and thinking, we are losing to Synergy. Oh no, are we going to have a repeat of last week? Because at that point, you're already defeated.
Yeah, they are looking a little bit more timid than they usually do, but again, we just had level 10 drop for them, so the Dux could, with a good gust on Falstad, which is one of the key things for Sportbilly, really set up a kill here, and when the taunt is on point and a good Horrify follows, then they can isolate a target. But they find themselves down a talent again, and that is really a problem. And it gives also a lot more control over the Shrine to Synergy, thanks to talents like Burning Rage on level 13 for Anubarak. But the Dux are playing around it. So they realize they cannot really aim for a Punisher here. So they go to the top and attempt to simply burn through a fort here. But there comes a potential kill against Crisplosion. He's already caught out, and Sevka moves in with the rest of the team, and that makes it impossible for Varian to escape.
Solid grab there by Hydra. Crisplosion did a really good job of just living here. Does finally get picked off, and the Playing Dux have taken the opportunity to grab a few shots on the Shrine here. They actually lead 28-10 here. Good 10-level lead, but now with all the members of Synergy rotating down, there should be a fight over this area. Nane turns around, and he dives in. They go straight for a Nubrak. The Sound Barrier comes out. Can Power get away from the fight? He does not have Burrow Charge available. He gets picked off, but Neon goes in and picks off Malfurion.
Malfurion dies after Anubara gets taken out. A nice play overall by the Dux, I have to say. They buy so much time with Varian at the top, and the entire 5-man of Synergy was chasing the main tank of the Dux, and that lost them a lot of time, which the Dux used to get ahead in the minion count. They're close to 13 now, which would allow them to fight. So overall, there was a very smart play on their side. It was unfortunate that they lost Malfurion here after they picked off Anubarak, but also great sound barrier out of the support, making sure that Anubarak could survive for a long time and that there was even a possibility to take down Malfurion.
The Playing Dux, through pure scuffling here, go out and finally get the Shrine before Anubarak can show up.
But think about what just happened. Synergy had a talent lead and lost the Punisher. And it's an Arcane Punisher on top of that, because of how the Dux rotate in the map. They go to the top, they pressure structures, they move back, realize Varian is going to die, they're not even trying to save him. Instead, they go down and start the minion count on the Shrine again. So that was incredible smart play.
And they're showing aggression now, partially due to Falstad having the Mighty Gust, as well as the Giant Killer now at 13. They can actually go in for these fights, and so Falstad can fly in, actually apply damage now to Anubarak and Dahaka when needed. So Playing Dux are actually moving forward more aggressively. I'm liking seeing it. Hydra's in the middle. It gets taunted. Will be able to retreat for now. The team is rotating over to help out in the fight. Synergy still with a lead, but the Playing Dux have definitely changed the momentum.
Yeah, they have definitely changed the momentum for sure. Synergy has made a bit of a mistake chasing Varian for that long with the entire 5-man. So they got a bit too hyper about that. But now they still have a slight lead in experience. They lost the bottom fort, but the Dux have closed the gap quite significantly. But Synergy still is looking quite strong with 4 kills against 2. They take the camps on the map now as well, so that gives them a bit more control. And while Falstad is pushing the top lane for the Dux, we still have Dahaka at the bottom doing the same thing for Synergy to get some extra experience.
Yep, Synergy working on getting that 16. They actually dive in. They move in for Crisplosion once again. The Burrow Charge has been used. Wolfjo on the right side with the heals. We're going to have Greymane being focused down. Sportbilly comes in from the side, does hit a hammering. The Sound Barrier will be used. Playing Dux will take the opportunity to retreat away from the fight.
Yeah, Sound Barrier was used, and they could not force the fight after that. So that's a bit of an unfortunate situation for Synergy, since they now are relying on a very heavy cooldown, very long cooldown to come back. They have the earlier level 16. The fight was taking place on 13 talents. But now with level 16 on the board, they just hope for a Sound Barrier to come back for the next big engagement.
Ducks keeping up. Looking to get 16. They are a little bit underneath that experience gate there. We'll be hitting it soon, while Dahaka has set atop the push in the lane. Falstad will attempt to rotate over to keep matched up with it. And Synergy, that lead is so little now. It's about a quarter of a level of experience. 16 just hits here for the Playing Ducks.
At this point, it doesn't matter anymore that you have a bit more experience, because it's simply a 16 talent fight that we are going to be seeing coming up now. And it's probably going to be 2 fights on level 16, so that is more than enough time for the Ducks to just take that even engagement and maybe even get ahead. It's really just all about the next few Punishers. Who gets level 20 first? Is someone able to get a huge advantage by taking out the keep of the opponent? So these team fights that we're going to see from here on out for the next few minutes are definitely going to be on eye level.
Yep, Shrine's activating now in the next 10 seconds. We're going to have Dahaka head to the bottom as the Mercenary Camp is pushing for the Ducks, and one's pushing in the top for Synergy.
Sound barrier's back. Here's the taunt, and Uberak and the Horrify. Well done. Really good move on the Ducks. They set up the trap, and Uberak goes in, does not use one of his spells to check the bush, and then we have just a perfect sync of taunt and Horrify, exactly like we talked about earlier, and that is an easy kill for the Ducks. Everyone else was pushed away. No chance for Lucio to help out with the sound barrier. So a great kill, and that is an easy Punisher now for the Ducks. With Synergy admitting that right away and just saying, boys, don't even bother. Let's move on the lanes, get experience. We cannot engage into this.
Yep, Dahaka and Tychus pushing the bottom. We have Greymane pushing in the top. They're hoping to see experience somewhere else. They do have a fort in the middle, so Synergy can defend this Punisher that will be coming their way. The Ducks even delay the Punisher, though, grabbing 39 to 1 in terms of minions.
And this willingness to let the Shrine go is something that people should really try to apply to their own play. Heroes of the Storm is oftentimes a little bit like an IQ test. It's the question, can you count to 5? If you are going for a single objective on the map, your opponent has 5 heroes on the board and you have 4, there are very, very few exceptions where you can say, okay, we can still make this happen. So if you want to apply anything from what you're seeing here to your own game, and one of the hardest lessons to learn in Heroes of the Storm is you need to learn when to let an objective go and simply say, guys, spread out, soak experience. We cannot fight this. The situation, it's way too much of a risk, and we could lose way more than only an objective if we try to engage it.
And on the other side, Synergy knows they had to make a play, so they went aggressive to the other side of the team, and we had a trap set up. Chris Bojan comes in for a taunt. Sefka will instantly use a sound barrier, and with that not being available, defense becomes a bit harder for Synergy, especially with taunt being available. Power almost getting caught out again.
Yeah, but this time he's able to burrow away, so that taunt was a nice setup for the Ducks. I really like the position here for Varian, anchoring his team at the side and trying to set up a kill. But now the fort is down. They need to bait the Punisher over and in, and then they can make that happen. But Neon is once again feared, gets caught there and taken out. Chris just doing so much work with these ults on Gul'dan.
Yep, the Horrify connects. Greymane is down, which really brings down the power spike, getting a defense available for Synergy. Odin will be forced to be popped here. They're going to jump right on top of it to keep being focused down from the Playing Ducks. They will get it, and they'll be able to move on out there after a successful lineup of kills.
So the Ducks with a very cool kill against Neon, and that kill helped them to get the keep. If they can take out Greymane here, chances are that they're not going to walk away with a keep eliminated. So right now the Ducks taking a lead, not only in experience, but also because they in the mid lane now took the keep out, which of course empowers not only your own push with additional catapults spawning for you, but also sets up a bit of a win condition later on in the game. If you get a team wipe, there's a clear avenue that you can go down to go straight for the core without wasting any more time on outer structures.
Synergy needs to be careful. The Ducks keep setting up plays. Chris Bojan goes in for the taunt. The sound barrier being used. Greymane just spawned, but he's not here in the fight. This is a 5v4. The Ducks realize they're not going to get another kill. Just go ahead and grab the Mercenary Camp and head on out. But they have lanes pushing.
Okay, important things to note here. What we just saw was an engagement by the Ducks. Again, what they did before, but this time without the Horrify. So they didn't have the Horrify, or this would probably have been a kill again. The only reason why it wasn't a kill is because Synergy used Sound Barrier. But the only ult that was dropped on the side of the Playing Ducks that really mattered in this case was Taunt. That's a 12-second cooldown against a massive one on the side of Synergy. Lucio still has another 45 seconds until he can rely on the Sound Barrier again. So that was a win for the Ducks, even though they didn't get the kill.
It was a big win for them. We still have 35 seconds before Synergy even has the ability to use Sound Barrier, and we should be having a Shrine pop up soon. And guess what? The Playing Ducks are about to hit level 20, and they are moving in. They are looking for that Dahaka on the bottom left. Hydra does spot this, though. Will retreat back to safety while 3 members of Synergy push in the top right. They are forcing the level 20, but the Playing Ducks will take a keep wall in exchange. Yeah,
they are going for the wall right now. Nanda actually losing out on a bit of his hit points there.
Oh,
Odin moving in, but there is again a kill against Tychus. The taunt just too strong. Varian doing work. Horrify not even needed.
Not having cleanse there, you can't put yourself in a position to where you can get taunted, and that was one that was too devastating here for Synergy.
Yeah, this is a bit of a problem that they have right now. You need to keep these heroes safe. You're not going to do anything to save the wall itself, so the only chance you have is save the keep and stay back, allow the rest of your team to soak level 20. You oftentimes have to really assess the situation and say, okay, what do I actually gain if I step this little bit farther out? Can I protect the tower? No. Do you need to protect the tower? No. It's all about the keep at this point. So he played it a bit too risky. The Ducks jumped in, got the kill, and now Synergy might have to give up another Punisher. And that is really the big deal. The death of Tychus took a Punisher away, and that's really bad.
Well, lucky for them, it's in a lane where there is a fort, so they have tools to slow it down and maybe save their keep here on the top side. We're going to have to wait for Tychus to spawn, which he'll be here in 3 seconds. Now, effectively into the Storm Talents for 2020.
The situation with the camp at the top at least worked out, so they got that.
Yep.
But with the Punisher, of course, they won't be able to really... Well, they might be able to take a fight if they force it now, but it's a bit late, so that Punisher should be taken any seconds. I would probably just move back, give up the fort, poke a little bit with a hero or two, and then take the battle again at the keep.
Yeah, try and poke with these cocktails, get someone low on the back line, hit Malfurion, maybe the Gul'dan, get him to low health.
Again, guys, learning to give things up is key in heroes. And look at what's happening here. They're not even fighting for the fort. They know the fort is meaningless right now. It's way too... First of all, there's no netted safety. There's nothing that really gives you an advantage when you take a fight here. It just dies way too fast, and if the Punisher jumps in and locks you down, Varian is going to charge in, get the taunt, and then even without a Horrify, you're in trouble. But the Horrify is probably going to guarantee a kill. So they're trying to make sure that's not an issue. So they take their stand at the keep, and that's what we're seeing right now with Big Red Button already activated.
Yeah, but connects with Gul'dan. He's in retreat here. Wolf Joe will be forced to kill Gul'dan before they can go in for an engage, which allows Synergy to turn around and just focus down this Punisher. It gets low, even down to half health, but the keep still stands. And overall, Synergy will have a pretty solid defense. Tychus and that Odin doing work.
Yeah, that was a really good defense on their part. You could see that the Ducks were angling for a move with Varian and seeing if they can get a taunt in, or maybe a Horrify, but they decided against it. I love that we have them starting checking bushes now. They really need to do that. So the traps that the Ducks have been setting up this game so far have been really working out for them. But if Synergy starts to get smart about those situations and just double checks, then they should be in a better spot now. But this is still a really close one. We have them on even talents. The only advantage that the Ducks really have, the big one, is that keep that was eliminated in the middle.
Playing Ducks knowing that they have a solid poke. We'll come back to the top here on the keep, and they start poking in. Power gets low on health. Sound barrier used once again. Sefka so willing to trigger that sound barrier.
Hydra with a zoning tongue here in the middle of nowhere. Sport Beater doesn't even have to barrel roll. He just looks at it. It's like, dude, what was that? So walks away.
Best kind of tongues, man. Just showing that they have a tongue. Okay, that's the combo again. Engage into taunt, into Horrify equals dead bug. Nubarak gets squashed here.
Yeah, he can't do anything. He can't activate his ult, he can't go for Harden, so he's just in a position where without a cleanse, there is no counterplay to this really, once that you get a good sync up. And the Ducks are doing this really well with Varian and with Chris. We can always guarantee that Synergy is going to look at a ban on probably Gul'dan, maybe the Varian on the next game, or pick one of them up, because it's just too impactful, especially if you run a Lucio comp that doesn't rely on a cleanse.
There is still a chance, though. Synergy down to 1 keep and 1 core. That's it on the battlefield here. We're going to 21 minutes, and a shrine is activating to the very south.
So let's say how Synergy can come back into this. What did happen over the last couple of minutes? What we saw was Synergy starting to play passive because they were either behind or they needed to defend against the Punisher. Even in the last fight, one of the reasons why they had to be a little bit more passive is because they burned the cooldown on Odin, so they couldn't use that in the fight. What Synergy has to do is to do what they did in the early game. They need to be the one engaging. If they just wait too long, there's going to be an opportunity at some point for the Ducks to charge, taunt, Horrify, and get a kill. So what Synergy has to do is to just turn this around and say, okay, we engage now into them and drop our abilities and then play it from there so that the playing Ducks cannot coordinate their abilities this well.
Yeah, I mean, at some point, you go ahead and bait the taunt when it comes out and just pop the sound barrier and go all in. It's getting to the point where you have to make a desperate play to make it work out. Playing decks are setting up for that desperate play, though. They have a big concave set up. Nana on top right, Chris on the right side. They're just waiting and patiently taking their time. They lead on the Shrine phase 24-17. Odin has been used, and Nubarak gets focused down. There's the sound barrier. Can he live? No.
And Nubarak is down, and again, the Ducks moving in with the Tranquility. Dropping it, pushing in deep trying to go for the kill here. Neon once again jumping the backline, but this time Sport Melee escapes. Hydra finds himself in trouble too, and way more minions on the side of the Ducks. They try to go for the Punisher. There's already minions on the core as we speak. The Punisher has also been taken. It's an Arcane. Gonna move through the bot lane. Again, the charge in. Sport Melee flies in gusts, and that's the kill. And this should be the end.
Yeah, last member standing, Hydra here on the right side. Lucio is able to boop on out, but Hydra gets flung across the map, and that is going to be game here. The playing Ducks with all 5 members up start to charge down the middle lane and head towards the core, which already has mercenaries on it. Catapults joining in as well.
Yeah, this is just going to be a party now. So we have Lucio up at the top, walking to the top right. But this goal, of course, is eliminated. GG as the Ducks take game number 1.
The Ducks really coming together after hitting that level 13 spike there, get the Giant Killer available on the Falstad. They really ramped up their speed and their engages, and so far the taunts into the Horrifies have been very difficult for Synergy to handle. Next time, they're definitely going to have to make sure that they play around that.
I liked overall a lot, though, what we've seen in the series. First of all, the Ducks, after being a bit passive in the early game, for obvious reasons, they then started to gain a bit momentum. But I love also that Synergy had a lot more, well, synergy and coordination than what we've seen yesterday. I think their biggest problem in the late game was they need to bring the fight to the Ducks. They cannot... The idea is, of course, to sit on the shrine and get the Punisher and then take it with the Punisher and engage into a fight. The problem is, the longer you are in the stalemate situation, the more likely it is that there is a chance for the taunt and the horrify as a combo to isolate a target, and then happen again on a Nubarak. And then Nubarak wasn't even in a bad spot. He was just trying to zone the opponent out exactly what he is supposed to do. But what Synergy needed to do, in my opinion, is attack them. Yeah. Force the fight and go into the battle. Even if you lose it, the game's over anyways. If you lose the Punisher, the game is over because you have already lost 2 keeps. You have only the keep at the bot lane. But they needed to dive in to make sure that this combo is not executed to the extent that it was every time. Because even with Lucy dropping the sound barrier, had no effect whatsoever if you don't get that hardened shield off, or at least your ult, and a Nubarak just doesn't live there. And I think it's something that will be addressed in the next draft.
Yeah, definitely. Dahaka, Nubarak can go on the same target too, especially down where the shrines on the bottom right side. I could have seen Dahaka flanking on that bush, move in, get those engages. You got to make it happen at some point. We'll be right back with game number 2. We'll see if Synergy can get it tied up here against